Hello the internet and welcome back to the live stream. It is Saturday the 9th of February 2019 and today I will be live for 16 minutes. I want to say thank you to everybody who's jumped in the chat early here. We have, let's go back up to the top. We have the right stuff. He was definitely there first. CL Furlong. Going further down the list, we have Stephen asking me, are we not really going to talk about this? And yeah, we are, but we'll get into it in a little while. But the idea is to have the chat talk about it more so than me. Ben Wilson, Tim Arskog, chit-chatting about cars by the look of it. Mark, have you ever done a refit and a removal for a four-wheel drive Camry V6 Autotrans? That looks like French to me. Hamish Ferguson, Hamish. Kia Jones, Barry's Views, The Racing Gamer, Ben Wilson. Ben Wilson just super chatted.
Money's too tight for steak.
Steak?
Morning.
Morning. Thank you, Ben Wilson. Good morning to you as well. Now, look, the big question of my thumbnail, we'll dig into that in a little bit. But first of all, we do want to talk a little bit about Angus Ferguson's in the house too. Angus and Hamish are the two young chaps from last week on Outdoor Man with a Van. So nice to see you boys back in the chat. You're not at my door, are you? Hopefully you're not at my front door. Chandy Sayo, good morning from Adelaide. Look, let's catch up with Outdoor Man with a Van. Welcome to episode 13 of Outdoor Man with a Van. The other week, I was showing Stevan to my friend Marty. He didn't like part of my timber work. Now, I can't show you what he didn't like because I've already fixed it, but I can show you footage from before. See how these side panels of plywood came further out from the last slat? He suggested, why don't I cut them off? My carpentry skills aren't the greatest. I did jigsaw them off. Then I thought, wait a sec, this looks terrible now. Why don't I cover the timber with some material? And then Mum gave me this beautiful material from when we were children. This was our first ever bedspread from when me, my sister and brother were like babies. That material covers up the timber and it looks nice and presentable. That being done, I think I have finished everything in Stevan. If you can think of anything else, please let me know. And while you're thinking about that, let's go back to the live stream. How sketchy is my handyman work? Seriously, like I know that I'm terrible with tools and saws and hammers and whatnot, and that's why I've got to cover up my trails. I feel like I did a good job covering it up with that material though. Now look, hello to the chat now. We have some new people. Charlotte Rose, good morning. We already saw Chandy Sayo. Nice to have you guys in. Charlotte, are you at work right now or are you... Kia Jones. Kia Jones, I'm very, very sketchy with the tools, aren't I? I realize that. Hey, look, this week on my channel, I have done a snorkel mask review, and a lot of snorkel mask reviews are what people come to the channel for. So I've just posted a link in the chat if you want to go and check that review out and see a mask that may suit your needs, may not suit your needs. Go and check that out now. It's in the chat right now. Let's bring up the chat. We got the chat right here. This is awesome. So what I really love about these streams now is that we are moving into this long format where I can just sit back and relax. I don't know if you watched CreatorCast this week, but on the CreatorCast stream, we had Jay Boston and then we had Eagle VP join in, and then both of them left. And so I could just sit back and chew the fat. And I feel like we had a really cool discussion. I talked a little bit about, what did we talk about? We talked about, someone raised a good question about being single. And I see Stephen in the chat saying you needed a lady friend to go travel with. Well, absolutely, that'd be terrific. Have you put something to support the middle of the bed in Stevan? Yeah, Barry, doesn't need it. The slats are long enough and thick enough to not need that. But yeah, we talked a little bit about a breakup story I had. We talked about selling my Evolve GT Bamboo to an absolute twat up in Sydney. And I feel like those kind of conversations are really cool to have, right? Like, it's like we just start talking and then the chat starts kind of engaging and we start drifting off into different tangents. And so with that being said, today is the 9th of February. Now, the 9th of February in aviation history, space exploration history, this was when the Apollo 14, which is the 8th manned mission to space and the 3rd mission from the United States to land on the moon, this is when it returned to Earth. And so there's a lot of stories about that, a lot of contradictory evidence and a lot of discussion, let's just say. Now, I don't think I know any of the answers, but I did a little bit of research, and let's just hit the facts first, right? The facts could be the first thing to talk about. Yeah, here we go, Northrop MJ. So this was the Apollo 14 launch. As you can see, the rocket did something went off, I guess Cape Canaveral, something went into space, and it was called Apollo 14. And it was the 8th one that they'd launched. And then this was the dubious picture that everyone's sort of claiming is fake. I don't know. It looks like a dude in sort of like a big open space. Could be space, could be a studio, could be anywhere. There's a guy in front with a camera. Well, what you can think might be a camera. You can't really see from that shadow. Obviously, this image I used as my thumbnail, but I found a slightly different one, a little bit of a tweakage in that one that I found. So yeah, I mean, people saying that the background doesn't look like there's enough stars. There's a little, you can see a little twinkly star up there at one point. I don't know what that could just be. I don't actually know what that is, but this is Commander Alan Shepard. Apparently he posted this flag up there and claimed it. I wonder if the flag's still there. They also put up a plaque. Oops, that's the wrong slide. This one here. This is the plaque that they put up when they were there. Now, you know me and the littering. Could this well be littering? This is space litter, right? These dudes put metal and left it there and walked away from it. I don't care if it's a plaque. Just because you're the first there doesn't mean you can litter. You should be the first ones to set the example. No littering. Americans should have said, we went to the moon, we didn't put a flag, we didn't put a plaque because we know that's littering and we wanted to set the good example. Northrop MJ says, can't see stars when the sun is up. Good question or good statement, but can you see stars when the sun is up when you're in the stars? Various View says the light from the sun blocked out the lights from the stars. Well, then how come one star is up there? See, these are the questions, right? And then this is the Apollo 4 returning to Earth, or something returning to Earth. So something did happen. We don't really know what it was. We've been told what it is. Now look, let's bring the chat back in because it's going to get interesting from here on in, I feel. Stephen, what about all the space junk orbiting Earth at the moment? So every mission to space has left rubbish up there. And Racing Gamer says you can see stars in space. So yeah, this conversation about whether you can see stars when you're in space, when the sun's behind you, I don't know if that holds up, because when you think about why we have sun, i.e. day and night, is because of the position of the Earth, right? The Earth's spinning. So when you're on the moon spins differently to the Earth. So you're not having this kind of like this sun hitting the Earth and then blocking out the other side. You're having something different happening. I'm not sure what happens, but I know it wouldn't be the same as the sun giving a reflection and whatnot, and not a reflection, a shadow. So Jay Boston in the house. G'day, Jay. Is there a star called Benon? There bloody well should be, mate. There damn well should be. Northrop MJ, pictures with the sun up in space stations doesn't have stars. Okay. See, I'm learning here, and that's the point of this discussion. I'm not pretending that I can give you information that you might not have. I want to hear from you guys to convince me or to convince the chat that there is something untoward that has happened back in the day. The lighting on that photo wasn't right. Shadows don't look right either. So you're talking about this image here. The shadow on that... Why not? That shadowing... As a photographer, that shadowing looks okay. He's taken it from in front, so there's obviously a light source behind on a kind of an angel, probably about somewhat there. That shadowing checks out to me. There's a lot of wind on that flag though. That could be a interesting discussion. What's with that wind? How come there's so much wind up there? Can there be wind in space? Is there space wind? There's no gravity, so is there wind? And where's it headed to? You know, we have wind on Australia. We have wind on the Earth because we know where it's going and where it's coming from. But in space, where is it going from? How is it made? And what happens to it? Does it just keep going? Charlotte Rose, Benon is a star. Excellent, excellent point there. The dish shadow doesn't look right to me. The angel may be wrong. The dish shadow. Okay. Well, yeah, you could be onto something there, Mark. It is a kind of that would tell me that dish is higher, obviously, than the photographer, and then it's a translucent dish, so you can see through it. Yeah, I don't know about that. I reckon that kind of checks out. Material is floating, no gravity, says Ben Wilson. Oddly enough, Tim Arscog, I thought would have many things to say about this, but been quite quiet. Maybe this needs to be a little bit more risque for Tim to have an opinion here. Barry's View says the flag had a pole going across. Ah, look at that! You're dead right. Just from looking at that image, you can clearly see that there's a flat line going across the top of that flag. Nicely done, Barry. The dish is from the moon rover. Yep. Okay. So yeah. So that would be the satellite that transmits back to the Earth. Lots of starch used in the flag when ironing. See. Hey, let's bring the chat back in because this is more important than me looking at an image. But this is what I wanted from my live streams. I wanted you guys to sort of spark it up and give me the goods. Give me some stuff to work with here. Tim Arscog ran out of suggestions last night. Timmy's more skilled in Uranus. Charlotte Rose. Yes, someone made that. I thought Tim would make that joke straight away. Ben Wilson says, yeah, there is a pole. I just zoomed in closer. Look, Tim, we've got a Uranus and we've got a pole. You can work with those two, right? You can work with poles and Uranuses. Just get in there and give us your Uncle Tim. Oh, dear me. I am still on a bit of a high from the Creator Cast discussion. I got to say, I'm trying to mimic that now, but I realize that within a 16-minute time block, it's going to be difficult to really dig in because we could have already swapped conversation by now and discussed something else. But the dish is made of mesh. Yep. Okay. Charlotte Rose, I love it when you're not working because then you can sort of like put more of your effort and like conversation, more of your thoughts into the chat, whereas instead of before you were just like a watcher. That footprint is supposed to be fake. Kia Jones, that footprint. Which footprint? The one? That one? No, this one. That footprint. Let me just get a bit closer. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they obviously weren't barefoot up there on the moon, were they? I don't know. That. What are you saying, that there was already a footprint before they landed? Interesting. I guess look. My thoughts are, if we never went to the moon, the one they took. Oh yeah. Sorry, they did bring a footprint back with them. You're right. Off the boot, yeah. I don't know. I mean, you'd have to dig into the make of the shoe and all that kind of stuff, which I'm sure they've done thousands of times. My thoughts are that if we did go to the moon and there was nada there, which is kind of like if you believe that we went, and the history sort of says that there was nothing much there, right? Because by now you'd think we'd be using it. You know, we use every skerrick of the earth for something, so we'd surely be using the moon for something. Now, the Americans claimed it, or they claimed a portion of it, so they'd definitely be doing something with it. They'd be excavating it, digging it, like finding some kind of fossil fuels. Wasn't there even talk about like selling parts of the moon to advertising space? So why hasn't that happened yet? It's 2019. Surely we'd be all over that shop, man. Like you'd be taking trips up there on the weekend. Our mate Elon would have already got like some kind of one-way, two-way trip up there where you could just pop out for the weekend and get a different perspective of Earth. You know, Canon would be up there testing their long-range lenses, saying, "We've got a 1400,000 millimeter lens, and it's the only one you need when you're on the moon. And here's our Canon ambassador on the moon." Like, I think if it happened, we would be all over it now. The flag looks like it's flying in the wind as it's all staged on the underside of our flat Earth. Gravity is making it hang. It also helped make the astronauts. Poor spelling, Tim, but I see what you're trying to do there. You're trying to make a funny. You're trying to bring in the flat earthers to this as well. Now, there you go. What's heavier, a galaxy, Mars, Earth, or the sun? The Earth, because a galaxy and Mars are chocolate bars and the sun's a newspaper. Should we change the subject here? Northrump, imagine the release form to go to the moon. You waive all rights to do anything, any post claims. Look, this discussion has been interesting. I told you I wouldn't be able to help you with anything further than the facts. The chat did help us. Thanks for being involved. Let's go back to your Uranus. Oh, that's we're out of time.